People usually want the same few things from money: to stop stressing every month, to spend on things they enjoy without feeling guilty afterward, to save consistently without constantly wondering where everything disappeared, and maybe most importantly, to stop feeling like they should have figured this out by now. Because let's be honest, a lot of people aren't irresponsible with money. They're just tired. Tired of trying to budget. Tired of starting over. Tired of telling themselves, next month I'll finally get serious. And somehow, next month keeps moving. Money comes in. Bills happen. Random spending happens. Life happens. And savings quietly becomes something you'll start later. That's exactly the problem Ramit Sethi tries to solve in I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And surprisingly, his solution has very little to do with extreme budgeting. In fact, one of the first things he challenges is the idea that becoming financially successful means cutting every small pleasure out of your life. Because according to him, the problem isn't that people spend money. The problem is that they spend without a system. Think about it. Most people manage money emotionally. One month they feel motivated, so they save aggressively. The next month something unexpected comes up, and suddenly everything falls apart. Then comes guilt, then frustration, and eventually they stop trying altogether. Ramit argues that this cycle exists for one reason. People depend too much on discipline, and discipline is unreliable. You're motivated one day, exhausted the next, good with money one week, impulsive the next. So instead of relying on motivation, he suggests something much simpler: build a system. Because systems don't depend on how motivated you feel. And this is really the core idea of the entire book: automation. Not budgeting harder, not obsessing over every small expense. Automation. The idea is simple. Your money should move automatically before you have the chance to mess it up. Salary comes in, and immediately, part of it moves into savings. Another part goes into investments. Bills are already handled. And what's left? That becomes money you can actually enjoy spending. No guilt, no second guessing, no wondering if you accidentally spent too much, because the important things already happened first. And this leads to one of the biggest mindset shifts in the book. Most people save whatever is left after spending, but Ramit says that approach almost never works, because usually there isn't much left. Instead, you pay yourself first, not last. Savings first, investments first, future you first, and then you spend what remains. It sounds simple, but it changes the entire relationship you have with money. Because now, saving stops feeling optional. It becomes automatic. And when something becomes automatic, it stops depending on willpower. Now, here's where the book gets really interesting. Because unlike traditional money advice, this isn't about depriving yourself. Ramit actually encourages spending, just not mindless spending. He calls it spending consciously, which basically means spend generously on the things you genuinely care about, and cut back aggressively on the things you don't. Maybe you love travel, or great food, or fitness, or convenience. Fine. Spend on those things. But be honest about what actually improves your life and what you're buying out of habit. Because a surprising amount of spending is invisible. Subscriptions you forgot about, impulse purchases, things bought from boredom, tiny expenses that don't even make you happier. And over time, those small leaks quietly drain financial progress. What makes this idea powerful is that it removes guilt. You stop feeling bad for spending, because now your spending is intentional. And when spending becomes intentional, money feels less stressful. Another big idea in the book is that most people focus on the wrong financial problems. They obsess over tiny decisions. Should I stop buying coffee? Should I spend less here? Save more there? But Ramit argues that wealth is usually built through a few major systems: your bank setup, your savings process, your investment habits, your credit management, your automation. Get these right, and small daily decisions matter much less. And honestly, that's a refreshing idea. Because financial advice often feels exhausting, like you need to constantly monitor everything. But this book pushes the opposite idea. Money should actually become boring, not stressful, not emotional, not something you obsess over every month. Boring. Because when money is automated, you stop constantly making decisions. And the less emotional energy you spend on money, the easier consistency becomes. If this already feels different from typical money advice, keep watching till the end. Because the biggest mindset shift in this book has nothing to do with budgeting. It's about freedom. The real goal here isn't becoming obsessed with saving. It's not tracking every rupee. And it's definitely not avoiding every small pleasure. The real goal is designing a financial system that quietly works in the background, so you can actually live your life. A system where saving happens automatically, investing happens consistently, bills are already covered, and spending doesn't come with guilt. Because wealth, at least according to Ramit Sethi, isn't built through perfect decisions. It's built through consistent systems. And maybe that's the most important takeaway from this book. You don't need to become a completely different person to be good with money. You don't need perfect discipline. You don't need to suddenly stop enjoying life. You just need a system strong enough to make good decisions easier. Because maybe the problem was never that you were bad with money. Maybe no one ever showed you a better way to manage it. And once the system changes, everything else starts to change with it.